Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Social Studies Extra Lessons. My name is Mrs. B and I'm here to provide you with some authentic learning experiences as I plan to bring across social studies concepts in fun and interesting ways. Let's get right into it. Today we will be looking at our Caribbean culture, specifically the Caribbean as a melting pot. Melting pots. What do you think the Caribbean has to do with a melting pot? Now, while you get your mental juices flowing, I'm going to allow you to watch this video. I hope you enjoy it.
Why is the Caribbean seen as a melting pot?
I really enjoyed social studies class today. Our teacher learned I said today, no, my child. Today we learned that the Caribbean is a melting pot. Mine in the ear good enough because me no say pot is something where you eat out of. It's not a real pot. It's a figurative pot. Figure what? Yeah, talk about figurative. It's like when you're cooking soup. You have different ingredients, but they still come together to make a delicious meal. That is exactly how the Caribbean is. Despite the fact that there are so many different people, we still come together to make one awesome region. Me understand now.
Out of many, one people.
Now, the Caribbean, such a small region, but although we are so small, we are quite powerful and we have some of the best people in the world. Now, if we take a look around our region, try to observe the persons around us in our country and even in other Caribbean countries. Do you think that everybody looks the same? No, I don't think so. Some persons have different hair texture. Some persons' hair is black and kinky, while you have some persons have blonde straight hair, and you have some persons have curly brown hair and other different physical features. But despite the fact that we're different, we all seem to function as one society in Jamaica and one region, the Caribbean. Now, we are so powerful, and it is because we are different and we still manage to live together in one accord that makes us so powerful. And we can say that our diversity is indeed our power. Now, in order to truly understand the Caribbean as a melting pot, these three words, ethnic groups, culture, heritage, we have to know what these three words mean. Now, let's get right into the definition of these words and what do they have to do with the Caribbean as a melting pot. Ethnic groups. Now, an ethnic group is a particular group of people who share a common culture, heritage, and history. Now, let's find out what those two words mean. Culture, heritage. Culture, heritage. Culture can be defined as one's way of life. So this includes the way that we eat, the way that we speak, the way that we practice different art forms, the way that we dance, and the way that we sing. Now, all of these things that we do on an almost daily basis, these things can be classified as our culture. On the other hand, heritage are the things that were passed down to us from our great grandparents, such as some of the traditions that we practice, some of the festivals that we take part in, and even some of our historical structures. Now that we know what these words mean, let's get right into it. Let us find out who are the people that allowed us to become a melting pot. We're going to find out who are the people who came to our region to make it what it is today. Now, the Amerindians. The Amerindians were the first set of ethnic groups to come to the Caribbean. They can be further broken down into the Taínos, the Kalinagos, the Mayans, and other Amerindian groups. Now, the Amerindians were nomadic people. This meant that they did not like to stay in one place for too long. So they used to move up and down and move up and down and move up and down. My grandmother would have said they walk about, you see. Now, students, the Amerindians were living in different areas across the world. But prior to coming to the Caribbean, the Amerindians were settling in South America. In particular, the Taínos were living in Venezuela, and they came to the Caribbean, where they settled in the Greater Antilles. And from grade 5 and grade 4, we know that the Kalinagos settled in the Lesser Antilles, the Mayans settled in mainland territories, and so on and so forth. Now, the Taínos, they were peaceful people. They lived together in peace and harmony. I do them like a thing. They're fishing, they're farming, and they're living their life, enjoying life, until the Europeans came. And the Europeans came and took advantage of them, and it disrupted the peace and the harmony that they were living in. Now, the Europeans. Who am I referring to when I say Europeans? In this video, we're going to be looking particularly at the Spaniards, the English, and the French. The Europeans are from Europe. So they left their continent, came to the Caribbean, and set up various colonies because of different reasons. Now I'm going to be looking at the Spaniards, the British, and the French separately to find out when they came here and why did they come here. The Spaniards. Now, the Spaniards were one of the first sets of Europeans to come to the Caribbean. They came here because of the 3 G's. Gold, God, and glory. Do you know that gentleman right there? If you said Christopher Columbus, you're correct. Christopher Columbus was an Italian voyager who wanted to prove that the world wasn't flat. So he led a fleet of Spanish ships westward to gain access to the eastern side of the world. And he wanted to go to Japan, India, China, because he heard of the great riches there. But instead of ending up in the eastern side of the world, he ended up in, guess where? Not the Caribbean. They left Spain. Remember I said that they thought they were going to Japan, and instead of going to Japan, they went to the Caribbean. They sail and they sail and they sail until they arrived in the Caribbean in 1492. And the first place they arrived was San Salvador, which is today known as Bahamas. It is not to be confused with their second voyage of 1494, in which they came to Jamaica. Now, Christopher Columbus realized that he can get rich off of this place, and Spain can get rich off of this place. So he went back to Spain and told them about the different resources that he saw in the Caribbean. And he set up numerous colonies for Spain in the Caribbean. Now, Christopher Columbus called this territory the West Indies, and he called them the West Indies because they look similar to the Indians. The Tainos look similar to the Indians in Asia, hence the name West Indies. The British. The British heard about the great resources that Spain acquired, and they started to get jealous. Jamaican people say that they started to get a red eye. So you know what they did? They came to the Caribbean as well, because they wanted some of that great wealth that Spain had. They wanted to be rich too. Come on. Now the British left Britain, went to the Caribbean, and they set up various colonies. They landed in St. Kitts first in 1624. The French, like the British, them start get jealous too, you know, man. So guess what? Guess the man? Yes, they came to the Caribbean too, because they wanted what they had. They wanted to be rich too. They wanted land too. So they came and set up colonies. The first Caribbean island that the French came to was Martinique, and they came to Martinique in 1635. They also set up other colonies in the Caribbean. Now the Africans, unlike the Europeans, they did not come here voluntarily. This means that they were forced to come here. Now the Europeans needed persons to work on their sugar plantation, so they went to Africa and brought Africans to the Caribbean and called them slaves, treated them like property. They didn't get any pay, and they worked them to the bone. The bulk of the Africans came to the Caribbean in the 1600s. Millions and millions of slaves came here. Millions and millions of slaves worked here free, and millions of slaves were abused by their colonizers. And it is because of this great quantity that came to the Caribbean why a majority of the Caribbean now is of African descent. After emancipation, there was a need for persons to work on the sugar plantation. So guess what? The Europeans sent for the Indians. Now the Indians left India, came to the Caribbean to work and provide cheap labor. They were known as indentured servants, and they were bound to a contract for 5 years where they worked on. The Indians came to the Caribbean in 1838, and a lot of them remained in the Caribbean, and some chose to go home. So like the Indians, the Chinese came here to work as indentured servants. They left China, came to the different Caribbean islands and provided cheap labor. The Chinese came to the Caribbean in the 1850s, and they worked as indentured servants. But guess what? No man, me not tell you have to guess and tell me. Yes, they did not like indentureship at all. So a lot of the Chinese, they went back to their home country, or some of them decided to stay in the Caribbean, where they set up several shops. Now guys, we learned about the different ethnic groups that came to our region, and these ethnic groups, they came with different aspects of their culture and heritage. And guess what? These different cultures and heritage mixed together, combined together in this melting pot of the Caribbean and allow us to be what we are, to be who we are today, which is unique. Whether you are from Jamaica, Cuba, Barbados, Dominican Republic, Haiti, or whichever Caribbean country, just remember that you are part of a melting pot, mixing and stirring and bubbling together. I hope you enjoyed my video. I enjoyed being here with you today. And if you did enjoy my video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Stick around as we will be having some more fun and informative videos about ethnic groups and the various things that they carried to the Caribbean in order to make us a melting pot. In the next video, we will be talking about the coming of the Indians and the Chinese. Bye guys!